To the Thanksgiving Tournament Expert Division Weekend Round, hole number 8. Here we're playing a Kingmaker Sniper Rough Bump, Sniper 9 plus P2 plus 30% max. The backspin will vary depending on wind strength. We're always using 1.7 right spin. If you look to the left, I have the zoomed in pictures of the spins so that you can see them. The one on the bottom right is 1.3 backspin, 1.7 right spin, and you're going to use that for winds between 7 and 7.7. If your wind is 7.8 to 8.5, you play this with 1.2 backspin, 1.7 right spin, which is the one in the middle. And then if your wind is 8.6 to 9.1, you'll use 1.1 backspin and 1.7 right spin. So always 1.7 right, either 1.1, 1.2, or 1.3 backspin, depending on whether or not you have low, medium, or high wind. Always going to add your spin first and then set your starting position. So I'm setting up at the very top of the second cut of rough, right in front of the green. So what I'm going to do is, after I have these spins set, I'm going to put my target into the second cut, and then I'm going to push it up just until it clicks out of the second cut and into the first cut. You're going to notice that the ball guide clicks real hard to the right. That is where you want to be set up. So as soon as it clicks to the right, that's what I'm looking for. Sometimes you see how it's not really clicking very hard to the right there, but you definitely still see the click in the ball guide, right? The bounce, flattens out and raises up. You want it to click up, right? As soon as it clicks up, that's where you want to be. Then you want to make sure that the right side of the ball guide is touching the left side of the flag stick, just into that click up or click right on the ball guide. There are 3 wind angles here. They don't require a whole lot as far as tweaks go, but it is important to pay attention to them because they need some minor tweaks, and if you don't make them, then you're most likely not going to drop the shot. Even though they're fairly easy, it's still required. So just pay attention to the setup as far as getting this thing in the right place up and down, and in the right place left and right. Just pay attention to what I'm doing here. You'll see that ball guide kick to the right. As soon as it does that, then stop and make sure that the right side of it is touching the flag stick, just like you see there. Now, wind angles are pretty simple to sort out. So what I'm looking at in the wind angles is these 3 trees here. All right, there's 3 trees, and then there's a couple of palm trees over here. Those 3 trees are basically my wind angles, okay? If you was to draw a center line through those 3 trees, anything in between these 2 is my crosswind, anything between these 2 is my neutral, and then anything to the left of that last tree is going to be the headwind, right? Headwind, neutral, crosswind. So pretty simple to determine, and the wind angle tweaks are also very simple to determine. If you're in the headwind, there's no change. If you're in the neutral, you need 1 click of underpower. If you're in the crosswind, you need 2 clicks of underpower. It's very simple, but important, because if you see where this bounce lands, we're landing close to the top of that rough by design. So if you don't do the underpower, you're going to land really, really close, and you're probably going to miss the shot. So now, it doesn't always land that high. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, depending on the wind strength and the wind angle. but it's always going to land close to the top. So you don't want to forget in that crosswind angle to add a little bit of underpower, because in the headwind angle we're pulling it further uphill and further north instead of to the right, and so that compensates for the push. But once we start getting the more crosswind angle, we're not compensating for, well, we're not getting the compression of the ball guide, and so we need to add a little bit of underpower because it's going to be a little hot if you don't use the underpower. But that's the shot. It's been actually very consistent. Just drop this like 4 or 5 times in a row. Make sure that you practice it a few times. Make sure you get comfortable with what spin sets you need, the setup procedure. It's very specific. Make sure you're pulling it as straight as possible. If anything, favor an 1159 on this pull. If you pull too much 1201, you can miss the rough. That being said, most of the time, even with great balls here, I still hit the rough and I still stayed on top. Every now and then I did catch a little speed roll with a great that rolled me down to the bottom of the hill, but for the most part, 90%, 95% of the time, even with great balls, I still, even if I didn't drop it, I was still on top, with a short putt for the birdie. So relatively safe and relatively consistent compared to how this hole has been playing. So I wish you guys the best of luck. Hope you get the drop, and we'll catch you on the next one.